Yeah, I got this music. I'm learning how to use my equipment. Got the Rodecaster Pro. Live on YouTube, live on Facebook, coming to you from BMAX Studios here in Decatur, Alabama. It's the Brandon Show. I don't have a name for this show. All right, that's enough of that music. Listen, I got breaking news on the Craig Jones Invitational. Big news. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bust that news out for you in just a little bit. And I'm also going to take just a second here to tell you to subscribe to this channel. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on YouTube, Facebook, all the different platforms. But also, I need you to subscribe to my man Scotty P breakdown on YouTube because I'm bringing him on the chat right now. Ladies and gentlemen, please say hello to my friend, the man himself, the boss, Scotty P. Scotty.
Man, good to be here. Good to see you, B-Mac. Glad to be on here. Finally.
The boss is in the house. Tell me where you got them shades from, dude.
Dude, blenders, man. There's a special edition too, and I saw them. Man, the Instagram algorithm knows me, dude, because they put this on my feed, and I was like, I gotta have this.
You gotta have them.
Yeah. So, and it was funny too, because I wasn't a big sunglasses guy, and then all of a sudden I saw these babies. I think I'm a sunglasses guy now.
You know what, man? The thing with the sunglasses is it gives you a character. So, like, you know, like with the sunglasses come off, this is Brandon. Now, Brandon can't always say what Brandon wants to say.
Yeah.
Because you say something, Brandon says something, and then you say something mean, and it hurts Brandon's feelings. You know what I mean?
Right.
But when the shades go on, that's BMAC. You can say something to BMAC, and Brandon don't feel it. So it's just like a little buffer. It's a little layer, you know?
For sure.
BMAC can say things that Brandon can't say. And the boss can say stuff that Scotty can't say.
You're right.
All right, dude. So before we get cracking too much, give us just a little information, little background about yourself, what you do on the intrawebs, a little bit about your jiu-jitsu background, so that when you start, when we start seeding these brackets here in just a second, when we start talking about this Craig Jones Invitational, that way everybody kind of knows that you're the real deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm a black belt in jiu-jitsu. I'm a head coach for Underworld Jiu-Jitsu, which is an affiliate of the Dark Side. We're in our lineage. My coach, Victor Postis, is under Dean Lister. So we are very leg lock savvy, all no-gi school. So I specialize in no-gi stuff. So like for a lot of people, I would say that like they're just now catching on to how popular no-gi is, but I've kind of been in it for a while now. So I'm kind of known around these parts in Texas to be a leg locker and a no-gi specialist. And what was funny too is I used to train.
You're a no-gi OG.
Yeah. And what's funny too is even before I moved to Texas and joined this affiliation, I was part of a Matt Serra affiliation. And if you don't know who Matt Serra is, right, UFC world champion, and he always had the philosophy of if your jiu-jitsu doesn't work gi or no gi, your jiu-jitsu is wrong. So we had a half and half split. We had 4 days no gi and 3 days gi. So, and that was, 6-7 years ago, back when that wasn't really heard of.
So you've been training no gi pretty much since the beginning. Like even now, like what would you say your split is? No gi versus gi?
Right now, my split is 100% no gi. I think I put a gi on
my man
in 6 months. But hey, don't get twisted. I went toe to toe with a black belt the last time I put a gi on. I went toe to toe with a black belt. I couldn't pass his guard, but I was on top passing the whole time. So I got my purple belt with the gi on. So I'm very savvy with the gi, but obviously my grips are terrible compared to other black belts. But as far as like the jiu-jitsu aspect goes, it's pretty much the same if you ask me.
You know what's the only part of gi that trips me up? It's not even the grips, it's the range. It's when I'm playing at like this long range here with like my arms extended and my legs extended. That range right there, that messes me up. As long as we're playing like in the same range that we would be playing in no gi, I feel like the gi helps me be better. Like I feel like my tight passing and my guard play with all that extra friction and like extra handles and new toys to play with, I feel like I'm better in the gi than I am in no gi. But then when they start playing these like long range guards and these grips and these exchanges that don't like those things don't even exist in no gi. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
that's where I start feeling like, okay, maybe I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see that. I find that because I train with a lot of gi guys, so I always like really comparing the differences in the styles. And one of the things that I notice is the gi guys, man, I tend to think that they hang in the pocket a little more in like weird, crazy scrambles because in the gi you hold on to each other longer. And I just noticed that like in a typical situation where a no-gi guy would kind of separate and reattack, they'll like hang in there and like I feel like they're really good at like back takes. Like they'll use their butterfly hooks a little better to kind of like move me midair to look for back takes. Whereas
Yeah.
I know guy might go to my leg or just completely disengage and try to like reattack on the wrestling side. And I also noticed that gi guys are scrappier inside submissions. And I feel like that's because if someone gets you in an armbar and with a gi on, it's way harder to escape than armbar for no gi. That's just my opinion.
Well, everything's a little bit harder to escape in the gi, I think. Oh man, you got to turn that ringer off, dude. What are you doing over there?
I know, right? I got two phones. That's why it's my secondary phone.
Oh, that's your trap phone.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, snap.
Now listen, I wasn't gonna bring this up, but we have to address this. I don't know if this is your boy, Bobby 5Gs. He said Scotty been losing a lot recently. Scotty, you gonna let Bobby 5Gs do you this way?
Who? Oh, losing a lot. Oh, you know what's funny? I started a new thing where I've been posting all the times I've lost to try to get CPI stem cells attention. So from someone, if anyone who wins a lot loses a lot, so your boy's got quite a few losses, and I ain't worried about that. But I'm coming off wins, so I'm currently on a win streak, so he can suck it.
Take that, Scotty. I mean, wait, no, don't take that, Scotty. Take that, Bobby.
Yeah, what is it? What's his Bobby 5Gs? Well, hey, if someone's talking shit, I'm doing something right. Yes, me.
Let's go, baby. This is my new favorite student. You know, you're not supposed to have favorite students, but you do have favorite students.
Yeah.
This guy's brand new. He's been training for like 3 weeks or a month, and he don't know anything about jiu-jitsu. But I love this dude. This Rocher. What's up, Rocher? And he's talking about your trap phone.
Yeah.
And then here goes Nunchuck Alex, Rob jumping in. So appreciate all you guys joining us in the chat here. We got some breaking news on the CJI, and I hadn't even told Scotty about it yet. I told him I was going to drop it on him live on air. So, Scotty, I don't want to bury the lead too much. Here's what I got. I got the official rule set for CJI.
Oh, dude, that's what we needed.
This is what we needed. I've been instructed, do not publish this, do not distribute this, but I got free reign to talk about it as much as I want. And so this is gonna help from an analyst perspective big time, because now we're gonna understand how are these wrestlers gonna play, like, is the rule set gonna favor them? Or is it gonna be like, sorry, dude, straight jiu-jitsu, you're out of luck.
Right.
So I'm pretty excited about this. I've been waiting on this.
Yeah. I mentioned that in the last bracketing that you did. Is like we have to know more about the rules to see who has the advantage.
Big shout out to Rogang Army and to Quaylen Likes. Now that's a crazy name. Quaylen Likes says we love you, BMAC. And by the way, I love you as well. All right, here's what I want to do, Scotty.
Let's do
I'm
it.
going to pull up. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Oh, wait, let's do it this way. There's the Scotty P channel right there. Here's what we're going to do, though. We're going to pull up these brackets here. And I want to get, there we go. So I got some blank brackets. And what I would like to do is just work down the list real quick. We'll read off who's going to be in each bracket in the minus 80 and in the plus 80. And then we'll go through and we'll look down the rule set. And then we're going to come back to the brackets, and me and you are going to seed this thing, and we're going to make our own brackets. Unofficially, of course.
Right.
Unofficially. All right. Are you ready for this?
I'm down, buddy.
All right, dude. So in the plus 80 kilo division, in no particular order. Oh, I said Victor Hugo. That's not good. His name is Victor Hugo. All right. We got Nicky Rod. We got Joao Gabriel Rocha. We got Victor Hugo, Mason Fowler, Felipe Andrew, Owen Livesley, Ignacio Santos. I don't know why I wrote Inca Santos, dude. That's severely not correct. Ignacio Santos, Adam Bradley, Max Jimenez, Luke Rockhold, William Tackett, Pat Downey, Kyle Bame, Pedro Alex, Muhammad Ali, and Daniel Kirkvliet. Right off the bat, who stands out to you off of this list?
Stands out as who's going to win it?
Yeah, like who's gonna be like the bangers that people are maybe not thinking about.
Right. So not thinking about. So obviously Nick and Victor, everyone knows those two are going to be showstoppers. Mason Fowler, obviously. But as far as like people that are maybe people aren't thinking about.
Yeah, people going to make a little noise. Who could make the semis off this list that maybe people aren't thinking about?
Man, so the two people that are catching my eye are going to be Max Jimenez and Adam Bradley. I think
Bradley.
Yeah, I think those two could. Max is such a big guy, and after seeing what he did with Big Dan, how he shut down his game, and I think
shut him down.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a problem for a lot of people, especially if they're doing 3-5 minutes. I mean, you can give a big guy a rest. That changes things. And then with Adam Bradley, I think I think he's hard to finish, man. I mean, we saw him go toe to toe with Big Dan for forever, right? And you were there at the
I was
next, right? And so I think he's going to be a hard guy to for a lot of these dudes to finish. And I think he could cook some people in the third round.
What do you think about these wrestlers? Like we got Daniel Kirkvliet here, we got Pat Downey here in this bracket. These are guys that don't have a ton of jiu-jitsu experience, but they're expert level grapplers in their own discipline. So what I know we hadn't revealed the rule set yet, but just without even seeing the rule set, how do you think that these guys are going to do in the bracket?
So when I was on your bracketing the other day and I was watching you bracket them, and I was a little upset because me personally, I think both these guys are going to be the bottom. I'd say probably Pat Downey 16 and then 15 Daniel. And obviously the leg locks aren't as savvy for some of these big guys. So could they get a matchup where, a big guy isn't going to be able to like hold them down and get them in a basic submission? Maybe, but I think that most of those guys, they're going to run into someone that knows leg locks and is going to eventually get a hold of them. I just don't see how they're going to be able to run from the submissions the entire time. But I could be wrong. This the Daniel Craig guy seems like a savage. So could 3 5-minute rounds make it different enough that they could see some success? For sure. But as far as like submissions and pure jiu-jitsu goes, if they're a black belt, I don't see how a wrestler gets past them.
So I feel like what you're saying is true more so in the minus 80 than in the plus 80.
Yeah.
Because the minus 80 is filled with it's probably the best bracket that's ever been assembled. And we'll get over there to that one in a second.
Right.
This plus 80 is a really great bracket, but it's not the best bracket that's ever been assembled.
100%.
And so Additionally, let's just be honest here. It hurts to hear it for some of you guys. But generally speaking, the bigger guys, their jiu-jitsu is not as clean.
No, for sure.
It's not as technical. It relies more on it's a slower pace. It relies more on strength. It relies more on top positioning. And I think all of that is going to play right into the hands of a guy like Kirk Vliet, maybe Pat Downey. I mean, we've seen Pat grapple some in a regular jiu-jitsu. Like he had his match. He's had a couple of jiu-jitsu matches actually. Who's we've seen him go with Gordon, of course, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then who else have we seen him go with? Not too much, man.
No, not a lot. I'll pull it up right now. Pat Downey. Yeah, and so like the same thing with that too is I just feel like, you know, they're probably going to get like the last seeding. So they're going to go against, you know, the top seeds. And yeah,
that's a good point.
I agree with you that there are some of the heavyweights in there. They're not going to be as savvy on, you know, being submission hunters, but at the top of the weight, at the top of the seeding, all those guys are savage finishers, you know? I mean, if one of those wrestlers gets William Tackett, I don't see how they prevent him from getting to
but what if one of those jiu-jitsu guys gets William Tackett? How's he going to win too? You know what I mean? Like you're talking about a guy who you could make an argument that he's maybe the third seed in the entire thing, maybe even fourth. You know, he's probably top 4, right? We'll break it down a little more in a little bit, but here's a question in the chat. This is Brave Little Spidey. He said, in the event that someone who wins a match gets an injury, are there alternates to take their place? Now, I'm sure they probably have some alternates that they're thinking about that they got lined up, but the way it generally works in a bracket is if you get injured and you can't continue, then the guy that you beat last round, he moves forward and takes your spot. So
right.
Almost certainly that's the way it's going to work. I'm trying to figure out which setting I like here. I think I like this one here. I think that's the move. Don't you think? Doesn't that look good?
Yep.
And then see, here we go. Conrad Spangler says Kirk Vliet and Nolf could do some damage if they don't get leg locked. I feel like even though Nolf is the more like high, I would say high profile grappler, because I mean, obviously his resume as a wrestler speaks for itself. He's got a little more experience in jiu-jitsu competition and training jiu-jitsu than Kirk Vliet does. But he's also going to be going up against guys who have a much larger skill set than Kirk Vliet is going to be going up against. The chances of Kirk Vliet, even though he's less versed in the submission grappling game, the chances of him getting leg locked are way lower just because of the competition he's going to be going against. Mm-hmm. So, and yeah, nunchuck, I'm hating on the high calorie grapplers a little bit.
Well, Conrad Spangler, he's a world champion, and he's a purple and brown belt world champion, I believe. But I used to train with him. Dude was in the military for like 30 something years.
Oh Jesus!
Used to wrestle at Iowa. Dude is a savage. So it's cool to see him on this chat.
Alex Miller giving you a big shout out.
Yeah.
Here goes my boy South Dakota Chris Presler. He says, not me, coach. My fat jitsu is technically legit. Well, I'll have to say that is correct because he beat my tail the other day when we were rolling. I was just running. He hit me with a false reap. This dude's like 240 pounds. He hit me with a false reap. I felt super insulted. Yeah, this is true. Nunchuck Alex said, shout out Christian Eccles. My boy knocked out Pat Downey. Yeah, one of our brown belts here, Christian Eccles. You seen that fight in Bellator where Pat Downey got hit with that uppercut and just like flatlined?
Oh, damn. Yeah, I was looking at I see it right now. I actually had his record pulled up. So yeah, it says it right there.
Yeah, you should watch that. That's one of our brown belts here in Decatur, Christian Eccles, that knocked him out.
Savage, dude.
All right, so Alberto Lima says, in my eyes, it's either Mason, Nikki, or Victor Hugo, and I have to agree with that. Yeah. Those are probably my top 3 seeds for this plus 80. All right, let's skip over here to the minus 80 real quick. All right. In the minus 80, we're looking at again, no particular order. Tommy Langaker, Jason Nolf, Hulk Barbosa, Owen O'Flanagan. Can we talk real quick about how that is not the word Owen?
Right. Yeah.
I feel like he really needs to fix that. I know that's his name and everything, but come on, dude.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it gets brought up to every new person that meets him. Like,
Yeah.
like it's a thing that he has to consistently explain. I met him at the ADCC after party in the last one, and I literally went through that whole thing with him, and then I watched him go through with it, multiple people. Explain Owen.
It's so wild. It's such there's all kinds of names over there. Like my boy Irish Keith Kavanaugh, his girl, her name's Katie. And it does not look, I mean, they spell some stuff weird over yonder, dude. All right. Mateus Diniz, former ADCC champion, Hanato Canuto, Roberto Jimenez, Levi Jones Leary, Joseph Chin, Nicky Ryan, Ty Rotolo, Cade Rotolo, Andy Varela, the dog, Andrew Tackett, Kenta Iwamoto, Majid Hage. Dude, are you kidding me? Gotta be the nastiest bracket that I've ever seen assembled. Just your thoughts real quick on not the bracket, but just the roster.
Yeah, I mean, it goes to say something about what Craig Jones has done, but I really like the 16-man under 80 because in the ADCC everyone's like the same weight class, and to me a lot of times the matches are kind of, you've already seen them and you kind of know where everyone stacks up a lot better. But when it's like a under 80, so you have all these different guys from all these different weights.
Yeah, broaden out that weight class a little bit.
Yeah, so you got multiple guys who could be argued as number one in their weight classes, and then now they're all coming together. I mean, dude, it makes for crazy matchups, so I love it.
Yeah, I mean, just having both the Rotolo brothers in there, just that is gonna make it insane, dude.
Right. Yeah. Now, I want to ask you a question since we're on this bracket, real quick.
Go ahead.
Just real quick, just because it's been something I've been wanting to bother you about. So, would you rank Joseph Chen above Nicky Ryan? He seems to have like this new like fire underneath him and this new like wave of hype with this recent success that I've seen people picking him over Nicky Ryan, and that's just kind of funny because in the hierarchy you would see that.
Yeah, I would put Chen over Nicky at this point.
Damn. See, that cracks me up because I kind of agree too. It's just like with how he's been coming along, and one of my buddies brought it up to me earlier. He's like, yeah, Nicky Ryan just hit or miss. And it seems like Joseph's really figured out how to perform well.
Yeah, and I hate saying that about Nicky because he actually has some of my favorite jiu-jitsu to watch in the whole world. But I also feel like sometimes on game day, he's just not the same guy. But sometimes he is. Sometimes he can tap JT Torres, which is madness. But then some days, where's my noise? Some days he comes out and it's like
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a bummer, dude, because I feel like he might be like the most technically proficient grappler in any division. Like he's so good and so smooth, but he doesn't always deliver on game day.
Right.
Okay. Here's what I got. I need a drum roll. I don't have a drum roll sound. I got this though.
Oh, I like it.
It's the official CJI rules, dude. The official rules. This is going to be huge. All right. Now, should I just hit the highlights, or do you want to hear the whole thing? Because it's 4 pages. It's actually not a super in-depth rule set. It's not that crazy.
I want, break the main points down to me. I don't know if I want you reading off a whole dialogue here, but the main stuff.
All right, here we go. So let's just start with what we already knew, which is that we're going to be working with 3 5-minute rounds with 1 minute of rest in between each round. So right away, the rule set is totally different from anything else out there. All right. I say anything else. AIGA had some similarities. Aiga, which I don't know how you felt about Aiga. I loved Aiga, but
Yeah,
their scoring inside of it was vastly different than this one here. Like they actually scored points inside the rounds. Not going to be any points scored in this one.
right.
We're going to be working with a 10-point must system, just like MMA. We'll get into that a little bit more in a second. So all regular matches, 3 5-minute rounds, 10-point must system, 1 minute rest between rounds. The finals of each bracket, 5 5-minute rounds with a little caveat right here. Plus 5 minutes of overtime if the points are drawn after round 5. So they're going to keep going until they figure it out.
Damn. So say that one more time.
So the finals of each bracket, 5 5-minute rounds.
Damn.
Plus they will go to 5-minute overtimes if it's still in a draw.
Damn. Yeah, that's a long ass match, bro.
But now here's the thing though. The draw is not going to be, see, we're thinking draw like, oh, ADCC, it's always tied up when it goes, you know, like they're going to overtime all the time because it's always tied up because nobody ever scores.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, it's a 10-point must system. So one guy is always going to win the round unless the round itself is scored a draw for some reason, like because of a negative, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So the chances of us ending up in a draw are about the same as that happening in MMA. That almost never happens. Not never, but it almost never happens. So there you go. Huge difference in the way that the rules set. Let me ask you this. Why do you think that they're going with this 10-point must system with the round scoring?
I mean, I had heard Craig bring it up several times, right? That it's like, it's what fans know because of the MMA thing. It's the UFC scoring has gotten super popular, right? They're kind of like the golden standard for combat sports. So I know that was his reasoning for it. And this idea that the fans can understand it better. And
You think that's true though?
yeah, I mean, I feel like most people don't even like MMA scoring as it is. So
I kind of think that too. Yeah.
I don't really think that was maybe the best idea to go with, like copying them, because I feel like they need to fix their own shit. But I do see, because it's going to be way different, that there can be a lot more creativity and strategy in these rounds instead of like the basic stuff we've always seen where someone almost scores, the other person pushes them away, creates a scramble, and then we see nothing. Whereas this, if you're constantly putting on the pace and you can get a 10-9, it changes everything. Whereas earlier it would have been a 0-0.
And it changes which kind of grappler could win the round as well.
Right.
Just simply pushing the pace, and we'll talk more about the scoring criteria here in just a second, but just simply pushing the pace and having good positioning could be enough to win. Not to send it to a draw, but to win. So very interesting. Okay, let's go to legal techniques here. Pretty much what you would expect. A couple of differences from the ADCC rule set. All chokes are legal except for using the hand to close the windpipe, obviously. Arm bar, shoulder lock, wrist lock, leg lock, any ankle lock, all allowed. Can opener, allowed. Twister, allowed. And this is a difference in the ADCC rule set. The full Nelson is allowed. In ADCC, you're not allowed to crank the neck with both shoulders behind the head, which is interesting. I don't really understand that, but good to go. So pretty much any submission hold that you can think of, legal, fair game at the Craig Jones Invitational. Illegal techniques. Here we go. Slamming is allowed if you are locked in a submission. If your opponent lets go of the submission before the slam, then you got to let go and abort the slam. About the same as ADCC. No spiking. Yeah, all the usual stuff. No squeezing the groin. I like that they highlighted that. No squeezing or putting pressure on the groin area. No holding of the rash guards. No slippery substances allowed on the body or clothing. So watch yourself, Nicky Rod.
No greasing.
No grease gate. All right. Refereeing and judges. This is a difference. Judges will have indicators to signal to the referee when they feel A, a warning should be given, B, that stalling should be enforced, and C, the referee will take judges' notice into consideration, but the referee will retain sole discretion on the call and enforcement of warnings and stalling penalties. So the stalling is not coming from the judges' table as it does in ADCC. The scoring is not coming from the judges' table. It's coming directly from the referee, and the judges are there basically to make suggestions out to the referee on what they feel needs to be a negative or a penalty. What are your thoughts?
Man, dude, I was literally just talking to another promoter the other day, and I was telling him how it's hard as a ref to pay attention to who's winning what because you're trying to make sure they're being safe. And I've seen it. I mean, I've done commentary, I've refed, I've coached, I've competed, and when you're refing, I mean, maybe if they have like some type of criteria already in their head that, the structure that maybe they can go over. But for the most part, dude, when you're worrying about making sure they ain't running into people and stuff and making sure they're safe, watching for taps, keeping everything, watching all the regulations, make sure nothing illegal is happening, it's hard to pay attention to who actually won exchanges. And so I've liked the way that ADCC did it, where the ref is more in charge of the keeping the match where
The safety, basically.
Yeah, and the judges have a piece of paper, one athlete on one side, the other athlete on the other, and they're there making tally marks so that it's actually kept track of who's winning initiations, engagements, etc. So I don't know about that. I don't see how. Yeah, I feel like it's almost like a digression, but hey, I would like to see how it plays out.
I don't mind it. I mean, I think anytime you're talking about bringing points and negatives and like subjective opinions from referees and judges, like there's so many ways to screw it up.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime you're doing that, it's going to be some good, some bad that goes with it.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it's kind of, I'm agnostic to where the points come from, really. Check this out. Referee, following a warning notification, can enforce a stalling penalty in their sole discretion. The referee may apply a negative point or apply a negative point and reset the position. Now that is very interesting. So the referee himself can apply the negative points. And there are going to be cases where you lose a point and reset to neutral, back to standing. Now that's going to make, in just a second, you're going to see why that could be a big deal. So we're going to have to dig into the nuances of these rules here. Now, this is the most important part. This is it, Scotty. This is the part we've been waiting for all this time. The scoring criteria, the general scoring criteria. Here is how they're going to determine who wins each round. Okay. I'm just going to read it to you. Rounds will be judged individually on a 10-point must system. Under the 10-point must scoring system, 10 points are awarded to the winner of the round. 9 points or less must be awarded to the loser. A submission always leads to immediate win of the entire match, obviously. In all matches except for the final round of each division. So take the finals out. This is the way it works. If both athletes end up with the same score, for example, 28-28, the athlete who won the third round will be determined the winner. So if it goes to a draw, me and you are scrapping it out. Round one is a draw. I win round two. You win round three. You would win the match because you won the third round. Very interesting. So the momentum of the guy who won the last round is how they're going to determine draws if it comes down to a draw. Your thoughts?
Man, it reminds me of when I was in the Marine Corps. The rules were for any grappling engagements while we were training, was the person on top is the winner, regardless of how the match played out. Because in any combat scenario, you don't want to be on your back. And so that's kind of what it reminds me of, where it's like you could be winning all the way up until the end, and if someone rolls you over and you didn't submit them, and they roll you over, got on top of you, and the timer ends, you lost that match.
Oh, that's very interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. It was just, to teach Marines that, triangles and arm bars from guard is cool, but the main mission is to get up off our back, get our
And
weapon.
shoot this fool in the face. Yes.
Right.
And much respect, by the way.
Thanks.
Totally feel that.
So I kind of like it, right? Because you see that in MMA a lot, where someone could have been winning the first couple rounds. Maybe it draws out like round 3 or 4, and then the guy who's losing in the beginning of the fight gets steam, wakes up, and just like brutalizes the other guy in the 5th round. Mm-hmm. But the round ends. The other guy had a lead. Maybe he won rounds 1 and 2, and so it ends up being in their favor. But everyone's like, well, when it ended, he was on his back bleeding from the guy in the 5th round. So there's always that like question mark. So I kind of like that there's at least some type of finality to that,
Yeah, it feels a little more like Pride than UFC in that regard. Okay. I continue. The following criteria shall be utilized by the judges when scoring the round. Judging criteria ranked, okay? Number 1, initiating action. That is the number 1 criteria that they're going to be looking for, is who's pushing the action, who's pushing forward. The highest reward is for initiating action, attempting takedowns, guard passes, sweeps, submissions, etc. Judges will give the highest reward to the competitor who is aggressive, the one starting the action and attacking that leads to the scrambles. So right away, we see that these wrestlers, they're going to have some advantage just because you know that they're going to come in ready to put. And Brad makes a good point here in the chat, is that knowing that you get a rest at the end of the round allows you to be more aggressive. I think that plus the initiated action being the number 1 criteria, I think that's going to favor these wrestlers just a little bit. They're going to have a much better chance to get out there and beat some of these straight up jiu-jitsu guys. Your thoughts?
Yeah. I would think that that's the only advantage that they'll have. So, if they're going to.
Well, we know they're not going to submit these guys, almost certainly, right? Almost certainly. I mean, anything's possible, but almost certainly they're not going to submit them. But the rule set makes a huge, huge difference.
I think the 1 minute rest changed things a lot.
I think so too. Criteria number 2. Close submissions and dynamic action. Dynamic action is defined as takedowns, sweeps, passes, etc. After initiating action, progressing through control and position to submission attempts weighs heavy on the judges. So this is the second most important criteria. Number 1 is initiating action. Number 2 is close submissions and dynamic action. So moving through the positions, looking to finish the fight is number 2, not number 1. The initiation of action is number 1. And number 3, very important, positional control and dominant control. This is the last factor. If all else is equal, the competitor who controlled the match positionally or dictated the pace of the match will be rewarded. I'm telling you, these wrestlers are going to do better than people think.
I mean, I'd love to see it because, it is kind of, right, the whole ADCC thing where it's supposed to be like any grappler can show up and do well. It's supposed to be like a grappling, Olympics of grappling, but generally we still just mostly see the jiu-jitsu guys winning. So if some wrestlers could jump in this bracket and make it super deep and create some upsets, that would be cool. I would hope it's in an exciting way though, I don't want to see them stall out for 3 rounds, but if they
Well, I
come,
don't think you're going to be able to win if you're stalling out for 3 rounds. We'll get into the negative penalties here in a second, but I don't think that you're going to be able to stall out and win. Like if initiating action is the thing that they're scoring for the most, then and then number 2 is that you're pushing through the position to get to submissions or to sweeps. You know, it's going to be hard to stall and win with those being the criteria. But like last night, me and my wife and my daughter, we were sitting on the couch watching the U.S. wrestling, the U.S. trials for wrestling. And we're just, you know, we're a bunch of grappling dorks at my house. The whole squad was me and my wife and my daughter watching the wrestling, the U.S. trials, you know. And man, the action is nonstop with these wrestling matches, like freestyle wrestling, Olympic wrestling. The action is pretty much nonstop. And I think that you're going to get some guys like Nolf, who's obviously had a tremendous amount of success in that rule set. Man, these dudes are going to come in and they're going to be able to push. You know, the wrestler's conditioning is going to be at the top of the food chain.
Yeah, I would say that's kind of what I was just thinking is like the heavyweights, jiu-jitsu heavyweights tend to not have the same conditioning as someone like Nolf or even Daniel, right? They're gonna have next level conditioning.
And Kirk Vet having that style, like first of all, he's 285 pounds.
285?
That's the match that I was watching yesterday. He was wrestling at the 285-pound division.
Dang. Okay, so I might.
Yeah. And he's pushing the pace, dude.
He's
super strong, super powerful, fast.
Yeah,
expert level grappler. 285.
Yeah, I didn't realize he was that damn big. That is huge.
I'm telling you, I think Kirk Vet's going to be a real problem in that plus 80.
Yeah.
I really do. And you know, I'm just getting excited that we're getting some wrestlers in there. I'm not even a wrestler. That's what's funny, but I do love wrestling. I really love to watch good wrestling. And so I'm very excited to see these guys. There's a good point here by old South Dakota Chris. He said, technically wrestlers have always done well when it comes to winning in jiu-jitsu competition.
I would just say not ADCC though. I mean, definitely any wrestler can jump in the competition, but I've never seen
Mark Kerr.
Oh, how many years are we taking it back though?
I mean, all the way back. The rule set's never changed at ADCC.
Yeah, so but I mean, like recently though. So, I mean, from my memory, I can't remember. I mean, I remember like Ruslan Chimaev.
Yeah, Chimaev.
I mean, he was a beast, but you know, I'm pretty sure
he medaled a couple of times, right?
Maybe. I remember like his last.
I'm looking it up. You keep talking. I'm going to look up and see if he medaled.
Yeah, his last showing, I remember he got armbarred pretty quick. I felt like the last 2 showings he had weren't that great, but
well, okay, I remember he got armbarred by Seanji, and he got beaten with a leg lock. I'm pretty sure by Thor. I think Thor hit him with an inside heel hook. But let me look and see here.
Yeah, so as far as like making it deep into ADCC, I haven't really ever heard of a wrestler going deep into ADCC recently.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you.
I know Nolf's been the guy to be that guy though. I heard he's making the transition into competing more in submission.
Yeah, he just won a jiu-jitsu tournament not that long ago, from what I understand. I haven't seen that yet. All right, that's going to be harder for me to look up than I want it to be. Somebody in the chat, tell me if Chimaev tell me he didn't medal. I know he's done semifinals a couple of times, for sure. All right, penalties. You ready for this?
Let's do it.
Now, this is interesting because there's no points being scored. It's just a 10-point must system. So when we're thinking about regular rule sets and we start thinking about penalties, it starts coming off of the 3 points that you got for this position, or from the 2 points that you got for the takedown. Now you lost one because of this penalty, or 4 points that you got for the back mount. Now you lost a point because of the penalty. This is a 10-point must system. So the penalties are going to come directly off of your 10 points that you would have won the round with, or with your 9 points that you got for losing the round. So this is a huge difference with these penalties. Penalties are super massive. Stalling and passivity will be determined by the referee when one athlete is purposefully slowing the pace, the aggression, or flow of the match with no apparent strategy to progress, move to a more dominant position, or set up a submission. So they have the word purposely in there. They have to determine that you're doing it on purpose to slow the pace of the match. Now, this is fascinating. Stalling can be called, all bold letters, any position, including front or back mount positions, as well as all defensive positions. If the referee determines there is no attempt to progress to the submission, escape a pinned position, or stay active. So any position, whether you're mounted, whether you're on top of the mount, if they determine that you're trying to slow the pace of the match, you can be penalized, and you can be stood up and reset, remember, from any position if you're given a penalty, the referee's discretion. So let's say your bottom mount, I got you mounted, some miracle of modern science happened, and I ended up in the mount position on you. I get called for stall. I'm purposefully just locking up. I get called for stalling, back to the feet. I'm out of the mount.
Yeah.
And if I'm the dominant wrestler, if I'm the dominant player on the feet, there's my shot right there to win the round.
Right. Yeah, this is reminiscent of the Kanan Dwarf.
Yeah, Craig Kynan.
Right, because they took off like 8 points. And see, I feel like they gave more power to the referee because a lot of times in these ADCC matches, they're called for stalling, but it's like warnings, and they're given multiple stalling calls, and it's like by the time that anything happens, the match can be over. So I see why they're directly giving the ref power, so that if he sees something, it can make it happen right then and there. And it solves that whole thing of someone getting to mount, right? Like, so if you get to mount, one of the most dangerous things that can happen is they get a little slip and they're out to your legs, which is what Kanan was trying to prevent. And so, I like it that they're going to reset in the middle, because if you get to mount and you just hold them, I mean, that's not what we want to see, right? We want to see finishes. My buddy Paul Tokgazolu from.
Oh yeah, dude, I know Paul. He came and hung out with us at the PGF. He's the man.
Yeah, he's legit.
He's a little sweetheart. Here's Jinx IT says, any examples for what would be stalling, like from actual past matches? No, because there have never been any past matches under this rule set. So no, we have nothing. We only have the interpretation of the rules. And you got to think the first couple of iterations, they're not going to do it. Like, it takes some time to get good at a particular rule set as a referee. I'm sure you've done plenty of reffing and judging in your time. Me too. And with the PGF, even, dude, we think all the way through it. We put it all down on paper, but when it comes down to the nitty gritty, it's hard to execute, dude.
Yeah.
Especially a new rule set that nobody else has done before.
Right. Yeah. So with the rule sets, and then, it's going to be completely different. I was just talking to I had a local promoter of combat sports coverage on my podcast the other day, and he was just talking about, like, you got to get a ref. Not everyone has all the funding in the world, so everyone's like, oh, you need 2 refs, you need this many judges, but he's got a production to run, so he has to do the best of what he's got. And it's like, you have to make the mistakes have to happen before you can fix them. It's like, well, we had the 3v3, and one of the guys got taken down off the mat and hit his head and couldn't compete further on for the. That's
so scary.
That was Davis Asari, dude. Davis was submitting everyone, had a really hard match, and dude, they scrambled off the mat and he hit his head on concrete, and he couldn't continue for the 3v3. and they just hadn't had that situation happen before. And there was this huge argument about whether the new wave team should have to fight with 2 people, if they are allowed a third person, if that counts as an automatic, like they have to disqualify that match, like they automatically counts as a loss because they don't have a grappler. And dude, like
what did they ultimately end up doing in that case?
Dude, I'm gonna say it right now, dude. It was kind of messed up how they forced their hand, but essentially what they made them do is they didn't want, Abraham Lamontagne.
Yeah.
So he was on the team, and Reese was on the team, both savages.
I know all those guys.
Yeah, they were going against Paradigm, and they pretty much forced them to make Reese go twice and not let Abraham go twice. So to me, that's kind of messed. Their argument though is that if Abraham competes twice, technically, I think they were trying to say he's too heavy. So if he would it'd be like letting the big guy go twice would technically put them over the weight. I think he even said himself though that he was underweight. So so Reese had to go twice after he had a crazy long match. They wanted them to forfeit their second match, and after I'm telling you, the lady that runs the whole venue, she was like getting ready to call the cops because like all these grapplers were in a circle, dude, arguing about this because there's $2,000 on the line. And so one team was super upset. New Wave is like, no, we should, he doesn't compete. What does it matter? We have a step in here. I don't mind competing twice. What's the issue?
Well, who am I? But the obvious play for me is like the Davis match is just forfeited and their other matches go as normal.
Right. So then it would automatically count as a loss for New Wave. Yeah, man. So interesting.
Has to be. Only way to do it.
See, I want to let Tom know this and see what he thinks. Cause they let Reese go twice, and the Team Paradigm ended up winning. So I guess that's essentially how it would have went down, right?
Yeah.
If they already have a loss, then yeah.
Hey, Reese is a little savage. I wouldn't be scared. I wouldn't be excited to see. I mean, he's little, but I wouldn't be excited if he lined up across from me twice.
Right.
All right, let's keep moving down these stalling penalties here. Going through the CJI official rule set. All right, so we talked about stalling can be called from any position, including when you are mounted on top. Passivity is defined as an athlete who avoids contact or engagement. Oh, lost Scotty there. I lost his camera, so I'm just going to drop him down to the corner there. Passivity can be defined as an athlete who avoids contact or engagement with their opponent. When the referee determines an athlete is stalling, the referee will announce stalling warning to the athlete. And then if he does not make an attempt to initiate action shortly after receiving the warning, the point will be deducted. And remember, the point is being deducted from the 10-point must system, not from the accumulation of points that come from positioning or from techniques that happen during the match. And that's huge. So the penalties are even bigger in this rule set than they would be in a regular, say, ADCC rule set. And this is a crazy one. Now, Scotty, I don't know if you can still hear me. Oh, there you are. Listen to this one now. This is big. Stalling will be enforced if any part of an athlete's back is touching the ground for more than 3 seconds without connection to the opponent.
I like that.
That's huge. So you come out, me and you go hit this slap bump right here, whack, whack, and then I sit to my butt and I go supine, and there's no engagement, stalling. I like it. It's a good rule.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and dude, so what about forcing the supine position too?
Well, as long as there's contact, then no problem. Mm-hmm. But if you come out and you just want to be like all, lazy McLaserson, they're not going to allow it. Okay, here you go. Fighter cannot flee or run from a guard pull. They must defend, break, or engage the position. Fleeing or running from an engagement or an attack counts as stalling. So if the guy pulls guard, hey, you just got to learn to deal with it. Get in there and pass. I like it.
So I wonder if they're able to like clear Like, let's say you step into a gauge, they start pulling reverse De La Hiva. Are you allowed to clear the grip, like walk away from it and then re-engage? Or if you're like tied to that engagement?
It'd be interesting to see how they define that, because it is kind of nebulous, the definition.
Mm-hmm.
All right. This is very interesting, because it's going to be in the pit, right?
Mm-hmm.
If an athlete's hands or feet touch the top of the pit, the athlete will be penalized by a warning, and if repeated, a point deduction. So you can't touch the top of the pit.
So if you're up against the side of the wall, you can't brace yourself at all.
That seems crazy.
Yeah, it does.
Like, how tall is the pit?
Yeah, because in the karate combat, it's not big at all. It's like,
I feel like they touch it all the time.
Yeah, they do. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be different, right? So I wonder if it'll be taller, but I can see why they would do that. So you can't, if you're up against it, your essential main goal is to get away from it, right? Because if you can't put your hands on it, you might as well fucking circle back to the inside. That would be like the last place you want to be if you can't put your hands on it.
I think that pit's going to be a big factor for these wrestlers as well.
Yeah. Oh, so you thinking that people could push people up purposely up against this wall? Oh, I see where you're going with this, dude. I mean, dude, you've completely changed my mind on that. Kirk, how do you say his name? Kirk
Vliet, Greg Kirk Vliet.
I mean, dude, 285, known high level grappler is scary for.
Probably was cutting to 285. Let's be honest, because he was competing at 285.
Yeah. I know I've grappled with some 300 pounders, and
not cool.
Yeah. There's no leg lock in them, and they can, and dude, they don't really have to know much about leg locks to break your ankle. You start getting the 300-pound guys learning how to do ankle locks, and they get good at them so fast because they have so much torque.
Dude. Your boy walking around at 165 over here. I don't want nothing to do. I don't want nothing to do. You're what? You're right at the 200-pound. How much you weigh? Like 210, 215. I don't want nothing to do with you. You got Kirk Vliet outweighs you 75 pounds on comp day. Dude. Who knows what he cut down from? Oh, and by the way, he's number 1 in the world, in America, in freestyle wrestling.
Damn.
And he's got a pit wall to push you against, so you can't disengage. He's going to push you up against that wall, and then that fool's going to be on top of you with D1 elite level control. Scotty, these wrestlers, they're going to be a problem, dude.
Dude, you sold me, B-Mac. You sold me on it, man. I'll move them up my bracketing.
And we hadn't even got into the bracketing yet. We're just talking about the rule set. This is how you know I'm a dork. I get so excited about the rules.
Well, dude, this is what I've literally been waiting on the rules, because I was like, man, how can I truly make these brackets if I don't know what's happening?
Point deductions. If a point is being deducted for stalling, here's how it works. Referee calls timeout, sends the offending athlete to a neutral location, lets the corners and the judges know, and then they reset in neutral. So if there is a penalty and a point deduction, they're going to reset to neutral. So if I'm mounted, I'm on the bottom, and I get called for stalling, I'm coming back to the feet. Just a whole lot of little things.
If you're on bottom and you're stalling, you can be reset. Okay, so is it for sure that you're going to be reset?
Well, let's read it again here. The referee, if a point is deducted for stalling, there's 4 points underneath it. Number 1, the referee shall call timeout. Number 2, the referee shall order the offending athlete to a neutral location. Number 3, the referee shall then inform the corners and the judges of the point deduction. Number 4, the referee shall reset the athletes in a neutral position, which is defined as standing without connection. So if they follow their rule set as it's written out, yes. If there's a point deduction, it goes back to standing neutral.
Interesting.
Jinx makes a good point right here. This could end up being a disappointing mess if they don't test it beforehand. I hope to God they're testing it beforehand.
Yeah, for real.
Please, God, don't come out here and try this for the first time
It'll
during this $1 million bracket. Could you imagine? It becomes like a big controversy and a milli on the line, and you lose $1 million off a bad call.
Oof.
That's a good reason to kill somebody.
Yeah. That the stakes are way different now, right? Because
yeah, dude, it's not a PGF qualifier.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It's not the combat sports coverage show. This isn't the Josh LeDuc contender series.
Yeah, this is a milli.
This is a milli.
Yeah. They got to be dialed in with those rules. That's for sure.
Greg says you'd like to think they did a run of the rule set at the B team gym. Sounds interesting. You got to think they've been playing with this idea for a while. But couldn't you also see a world where Craig just said, "Oh, let's try this"?
Yeah. Because he is new to it, so he wouldn't know until it's too late. Well, and so the thing about the rules.
So that, by the way, that's pretty much all of the rules. Like they do go through what happens if somebody's injured, but it's like standard stuff. So there you go. The CJI rules, a 1 hour breakdown of a couple of dorks talking about the rules. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's funny. I'd like to hear your perspective on it. The general consensus I got before CJI, that ADCC was like the premier rule system. Like, oh, it's better than IBJJF. They figured it out. This is the way to go. And then after CJI, it's like now everyone's mindset has shifted, and it's been like literally everyone's now like, you know what? Those rules don't make any fucking sense. These guys don't even know what they're doing. And it's kind of funny, like seeing the switch, like, because now I see all the time with people bringing up matches where, there was one controversial thing at the last one, right, where Adam Bradley argued that he should have won and got those sweet
against
points.
Bixley.
Yeah, and then there's multiple times people went out of bounds. Oliver Taza and Big Breakfast went out of bounds, and there was like a moment where Taza was like, "Are we being reset?" And what's his name? Big Breakfast took his back. Like in the moment, just kept going.
Dorsey, right?
Yeah, Elijah Dorsey took his back. Like they're literally on top of some lady, and he just kept going, which is what the rules say, And so it's like, it was just so funny, kind of seeing the story kind of just change, where everyone was 100% that ADCC rules are the best, and then now that CJI is a competitor, I see people kind of flip flopping now. What do you think?
I think that I've been with 10th Planet for 20 years almost, right? I don't think that in the 10th Planet system that it was ever the consensus that the ADCC rules were the best. There's always been controversy surrounding anything that has subjective points being applied. And so I think we, again, I'm speaking just from my own experience here, but I think we always kind of felt that the ADCC rules, if you're going to have points, the ADCC rules were the best iteration of that. But you're still bringing subjectivity into it. So I think that this CJI rule set is a step forward in that we're removing a lot of the subjectivity on the points, on how the points get scored, but we're also adding a lot of subjectivity in by saying, all right, well, I felt like this guy won the round. Man, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. We will see.
Okay, so now all of that in consideration, I want us to go through and seed these brackets here. So I want to start with the plus 80. Give me your number one seed. It's got to be either Nicky Rod, Hugo, or Mason Fowler. For me, it's Victor Hugo. Who do you like as your number one seed?
Okay, so I would normally go with Victor Hugo, but I'm gonna go with Nicky Rod on this one because I really think he's gonna have a new fire underneath his ass now that they got Demo running camp. Because I I personally have kind of felt like that was their biggest flaw, was that the best guys were also the coaches. And I feel like that was New Wave's strength, was that they had a dedicated full-time coach watching the athletes and helping them. And I feel like that's important when you compete. And now that B team has that with Dima, man, I really think they're going to come with some new strategies and new looks. So I think I'm going to go with Nicky Rod first seed.
Okay, I'm going to allow it. And here's why. I like your point about having the new coaching in. But I also, after taking a look at this rule set, I feel like Nicky has more advantages under this rule set than he would have had under, say, like the ADCC rule set.
Agreed.
He's going to be out there pushing the pace, and he's going to get a 1 minute break every 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So then that automatically, I would think that puts Victor Hugo in at number 2, right?
Yep. Has to.
Yeah. Got to go Victor Hugo number 2 now. All right. Does that put Mason Fowler as your 3 seed? Or do you put William Tackett as your 3 seed? Or maybe even you could say maybe a Kyle Bame or a João Gabriel Rocha.
Yeah, I still think Mason takes 3 over them. And the reason I feel like he's not there yet with Nicky Rod and Victor Hugo is just a size thing. He's a little smaller, but his technique is up there with those 2.
Okay. So you're going Mason Fowler in at number 3. I got no issue with that. Does that mean that you go with, see, I'm going to put Tackett in as my 4 seed, but I could see an argument for maybe a João Gabriel Rocha just size wise.
Yeah, no, I had Tackett at 4. I think his speed is going to be a problem for most people to deal with.
And his conditioning, bro.
Conditioning, speed. As a big guy, that's like your worst nightmares, is someone you know is conditioned and faster than you. That's a scary thought.
All right, looking down this list here, we got to find the 5 seed. I like Kyle Bame maybe for that 5 seed. I like João Gabriel Rocha maybe for that 5 seed. I think that's who I'm going to pick between. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to count Kyle Bame out for the 5th seed, right? But I just feel, oh man, he's big too lately. He's just gotten bigger and bigger.
But style wise, knowing what we know now about the rule set, style wise, Kyle's going to come out and pull guard and attack the legs, right? Like we know that for sure. He's not going to spend a lot of time on the feet. Oh, my broadcast partner Josh Palmer chiming in. 3x5s changes everything. The 3x5s and everything that we just learned about the rule set, Josh. If you didn't get a copy of this rule set yet, there's a lot to talk about. I need to get Josh. Dude, we need to bring Josh in on the broadcast. If you're interested in doing that, Josh, I'll send you a link. Just shoot me a DM on the gram or something, and I'll send it to you. But let me know in the chat if you want to join us. I'll bring you in. We're just, prognosticating, working through this bracket. But so we were just talking about Kyle Bame. I wonder if this rule set's going to really favor him. I wonder if this is going to do him any favors.
Yeah, I would think you'd have to put Roach at 5 just based on the rule set.
Yeah, well, I mean, Rocha not really known as a super exciting grappler either, though,
True.
I'm going to go Kyle Bame at 5.
Gotcha.
I just feel like he's got more ways to win by submission than Rocha does. Like I just don't see a lot of scenarios where Rocha is going out and subbing all these guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I would say that to his face, but yeah, I'm with you.
No, I would never say any of this to any of their faces. That's like one of the scary bummer parts about doing this job is I have to I got to say some stuff that I know is going to get me beat up.
Well, at least I feel like, because obviously most, or you get a lot of times that the commentary isn't as like doesn't do what the actual athletes do, but I mean, we've both been there, so at least we've taken our fair share of ass whoopings.
Yeah, dude, I feel like I take more of those than I don't these days. I'm getting so old.
Yeah.
Eric the Defender, where's the rule set posted? The rule set is not posted. The rule set is posted right here. Your boy got the first look. So we're breaking the news. If you want to hear the rule set broken down, you can rewind this and go through it, or you can just watch it after the fact. But it's not posted.
Eric the Defender, man, he's a brown belt here in Houston, Houston lawyer, dude. He's one of the biggest sponsors of Texas Jiu Jitsu. So shout out to him.
Oh, what's up, Eric? Hey, Eric, holler at your boy. Come talk to me about the PGF. We need some people. All right.
Yeah.
Let's see who's going to be the 7 seed here. So looking at this list, we got Felipe Andrew, Owen, Ignacio, Bradley, Jimenez, Rockhold, Downey, Alex, Muhammad Ali, and Daniel Kirkvliet. You know what? Instead of going who's our next best available, let's start working. No, let's don't work from the bottom up, actually. Let me ask you this. How does what we now know about the rules, how does that change how you feel about Kirkvliet's seeding? Does that push him up your list?
Yeah. Him being that heavy, him being
Dramatically, like way up your list, or just, a couple of spots?
Let's see. Looking, I mean, out of what's left, I mean, dude, I might even put him next, dude. Where we at? Seed 7?
Dang. So you had him at 16 yesterday before you saw the rule set. So you're saying you could see him pushing all the way up into the top 8 seeds?
Yeah, I mean, I just, dude, size actually matters, and I wasn't aware he was so big. Anyone conditioned at that level that is in that kind of shape at 285 is going to be a nightmare, especially with that rule set, dude.
And with the initiation of action being the number one criteria.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I could see it going bad for him, getting a really bad matchup with one of the smaller leg lockers who's maybe able to, like, be super slick and get to his leg really fast.
Yeah, like imagine he ends up with a 12 seed in the way that we're seeding it here. He ends up with the 12 seed or the 13, and he goes against BAME or Tackett.
Right.
That could be a problem. Everybody calling in the chat to just go ahead and put Downey at 16.
Yeah.
Dude, that's cold blooded. But I gotta agree with it though, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go ahead and put him there. That puts him against Nicky Rod. The chat has spoken. Listen, Pat Downey, don't be upset with me. The chat has spoken.
For real.
What can you do?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to push Kirkvliet as high as you just pushed him.
What are you thinking? Seed him right now. Kirkvliet, where you at?
See, I got to put Adam Bradley in as my next seed right here. And maybe that's a little bit controversial, but I feel like Adam Bradley at the 7 seed is not too crazy. What do you think?
Adam Bradley at the 7th seed?
I mean, who would you put off of this list here? Who would you put ahead of Bradley?
Yeah, to me, it seems like Max Amanis and Adam Bradley are pretty much, they're like two different styles, but they're both on the extremes of those styles that I could see it playing either way. I can see Max Amanis neutralizing somebody and getting a finish, and I can also see Adam Bradley being super difficult for someone and getting by with his conditioning and strategy. I would put Max Amanis there just for the size sake alone, because I really think that's going to be a huge play here. But I don't think it's crazy to put him at 7. I had him probably at 8 or 9.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's go Bradley, then Jimenez at the 8. Right? And then now I think you got to start thinking about Kirkvliet now.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me.
But you know what? By doing that, we're leaving Muhammad Ali, Luke Rockhold, and Felipe Andrew on the sideline. And I think Rockhold's going to do better than people think.
Yeah, Alex Smith just
Uh,
said it in the chat. He
Dude,
said,
yeah, there he goes. I see that.
don't push him too far down. I'll be honest with you guys. I didn't have Luke Rockhold very high on my list. But everyone keeps saying he's super good. I'm sure he is, but I just don't see how he does well with the super heavies.
KT says, "Is this the official bracket?" No, no. This is a couple of morons. That's what this is. We're just a couple of jujitsu dorks just dicing it up out here. But what we do have as we make this bracket, the advantage we have, we're the first people doing any kind of like predicted seeding now that we have the full bracket and the full rule set. So we spent the first half of the broadcast going over the rule set. And I think that this rule set, it's already changed a lot about how we were going to seed this thing. So we're already thinking about pushing Kirk Vet up into probably this 9 spot. Is that what you think?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think so, man.
Someone's saying in the chat that Max is coming off the win off Luke Rockhold, but I think he means Big Dan, right?
Yeah, I don't think he had a match with Rockhold. I don't think Rockhold's really got a lot of jiu-jitsu competition under his belt.
Not Rockhold. He said Max got ahead of. It's coming off a win with Luke Griffith, but it wasn't Luke Griffith. It was Big Dan, correct?
I believe that's right. Yeah. Now, did he have a matchup with Luke though?
I'm gonna pull it up right now.
I sort of feel like he did have a matchup with Luke.
Look.
I actually can't remember.
Yes, most of these pages only post their MMA wins. It's hard to find their jiu-jitsu wins unless they're super famous.
I bet people are thinking that we're crazy for putting Kirk Vet up so high.
Yeah, anybody that's grappled a 285 or knows that we're not crazy though.
And anybody that's run with a D1, not just a guy who wrestled D1, bro. We're not talking about a guy who wrestled at D1. We're talking about the number 1 heavyweight in the country.
Yeah.
Penn State. You know what I'm saying? Penn State.
Nuts.
And grappling conjecture, this is a good point. Ali was good, but he hasn't competed in 2 years, and I'm not sure that he has done no-gi at all since the 2019 ADCC.
Yeah, he's been focused a lot on MMA. Just from what I've seen, I follow him, and he does like a lot of streams and stuff. To me, it looks like he's been focused a lot on MMA. Now, could that aggression and that pace help him a little bit here?
Particularly in this rule set. Grappling conjecture says, you're right, it was Big Dan. And Alex Smith says stooge bracket. Now, I don't know what that means. Do you have any insight? You're a much cooler person than I am.
Yeah, I think it was like kind of a cool diss. Like it's like we're just it's a messing around bracket. But
okay,
I think it's
good. So we don't have to kill this guy.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure, dude.
We'll let you live.
So Kirk Vet goes in at number 9. Who you putting in as your 10 seed? I feel like I want Felipe Andrew right there.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu world champion. We can't completely count him out, right?
But he's a totally different guy in no-gi. Completely different guy in no-gi.
Yeah, especially he's usually at like a lighter bracket too, right? So
yeah.
Yeah, I'd say between him and Luke Rockhold, I think are the 2 next. I might take some heat for this, but I just think Owen is a little too small for this bracket.
I think too small. Maybe I wouldn't have even really considered his size that much. It's just his style. Like, yeah, he does a lot of cool throws, a lot of cool foot sweeps. But when you see him compete, what comes on the other side of those foot sweeps and those throws?
Yeah, not much. But I mean, if he initiates the action now, yeah.
Okay, I hear you.
But yeah, I have him pretty low too because I just think these other guys are going to be a little bit of a problem here.
Let's go Rockhold as our as our next seed.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's 11, right? Okay. All right. And then we're going, I think maybe Ali is my next guy.
Mm.
Or do you think one of these big trials winners here?
I mean, Pedro Alex has been super consistent recently. He's been taking a lot of matches, and I guess so has Ignacio Santos. But Muhammad Ali, he's got that X factor, dude. He goes at it. So yeah, I guess I can see Ali.
And I just feel like he's had way more high level experience too. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go Ali right there. Love it or hate it, you know. The problem is, you know what sucks is this is the easier bracket to do.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
The next bracket is going to, the minus 80 is impossible to do this with. All right, so then let's go. I mean, you pick the order for these last three. Who's your 13?
Yeah, I'm thinking it goes Pedro Alex, Ignacio Santos, then Owen Livesley.
Okay, so Pedro Alex coming in at 13.
And that's only because I know Pedro Alex a little better than Ignacio Santos, but I guess they could be they're like right there. I know Ignacio Santos has some big wins at IBJJF and Nogi, but so does Pedro Alex. So.
And then you're going Owen Livesley at 15. I think people are going to feel like that's controversial because he's such a popular figure. People really like Owen Livesley.
Yeah, I think he'd have probably done better in the lower bracket, maybe. But I mean, I don't even.
I mean, what's he going to be walking in there at? You think?
Oh man, maybe 200, maybe 190. I mean, he's not
really. He's that small. He seems so much bigger to me. Like when I think about him, he seems like a big guy.
Yeah. No, it's because he's jacked out his mind, but he's not very tall, so he ends up being a smaller guy.
Okay.
Put up Livesley.
So now, do you want to go over and do the seeding on the next bracket, or do you want to actually like play this thing out?
Oh, let's play it out. That'd be fun. I won't take
Okay.
that.
Okay. So this is pretty easy. I think we're going to go Nicky Rod over Pat Downey pretty much right away, right? And then we're going to go Victor Hugo over Livesley. Those seem like easy calls, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You go to the 3 seed. You go to Fowler.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to just type the whole name, actually. Got to go Fowler right there. 4 seed. You got to go Tackett.
Yep, all day.
Okay. 5 seed. Bame. So we're going all chalk here. Or do you think Ali?
Nah, I think Bame takes that, but that'd be a fun match. I want to see that match. That'd be fun.
Yeah. Okay. Here's the first one where I think we got to think about it. Rocha versus Luke Rockhold.
Man, I kind of think I might take Luke Rockhold.
I kind of like Rockhold. So we're kind of going against our own seeding there, but just by the nature of the way that it shook out, the matchup shook out. All right, Bradley versus Felipe Andrew.
Ooh, that would be
that's probably the best matchup of the first round. Oh no, it's not. Jimenez versus Kirk Vet. Oh jeez. Okay, let's go Bradley Andrew first.
Okay, I'll have to say Adam Bradley just because of his experience in Nogi. But
they've matched up before. I believe they matched up at Subversive. And I think Bradley got the win over him.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think it was pretty controversial. Or was it Subversive? I believe I called a match between those two guys. I'm with you though. I like Bradley right there.
Grappling just says Rocha will likely win due to size over Rockhold.
Yo, I bet Rockhold's bigger than you think.
I think the the matchup favors Rockhold though, because Rockhold he don't care, dude. He'll come after you the whole time. We saw that with him and Nicky Rod. It seemed to me that Luke Rockhold was actually pushing the pace the whole time. And Roach is kind of known to kind of back off the pedal.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if this rule set favors Rocha.
Right.
Okay, here's the matchup of the first round for me.
Yeah, that one's gonna be ooh.
I'm riding with Kirk Vet.
Yeah. Me too.
I'm riding with Kirk Vet, dude. Okay, so now that puts Kirk Vet versus Nicky Rod.
Dude, that would be so cool. That would be so cool. I would love.
Imagine he comes in there outweighing Nicky Rod by 60 or 70 pounds. And he's the stronger, by the way, the much stronger wrestler, not the stronger wrestler, the much, much stronger wrestler.
Yeah.
In a rule set that might favor wrestling. Nicky Rod, not known as a submission artist. We did see him go through that EBI absolute run where he subbed everybody. And that was a big run for him, but that's not typically how he runs his game. What do you think?
I'm not gonna pick against Nicky Rod.
For sure.
But I think that's like the ultimate showdown. It's like how good can a specialist be within grappling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because Nicky Rod would be the one who's combining multiple grappling sets, right? The wrestling, the jiu-jitsu. I mean, he's probably like the most famous for like wrestle jitsu at this point. But so can a pure wrestler, out specialize someone? Because most people would argue that Nicky Rod was originally like a wrestling specialist. He'd just come in and wrestle fuck most people. So to see,
but you know what's crazy is like his wrestling. Everybody talks about how good his wrestling is. His wrestling is really good, but it is not like elite level wrestling. Like he wrestled like D3.
Yeah. Yep.
Come on, man. I mean, not that there aren't some great D3. Obviously, like one of the best wrestlers that I personally have ever met. He wrestled in college, but it wasn't Division I, and I've seen him absolutely smoke out D1 wrestlers. So, but we're not talking about Kirk Vet he's not a D1 wrestler, dude. He's the best heavyweight in America right now. Not he used to. Right now, he's the best heavyweight in America, and he's probably going to be carrying 60, possibly 80 pounds on Nicky Rod.
Man, that is cool. Because I was wondering why they didn't give. There's a dude named. He's a giant dude. From I want to say. He's from a different country for sure. He's visiting Big Dan though, and there's like a bunch of viral videos of Big Dan tasing him. His name's Combate.
Oh, what?
He almost had an invite. He was in the running for the invite, but they gave it to Kirk Vet. And I was wondering why would they give it to this wrestler guy and not give it to this other dude who's an actual accomplished grappler, big guy, Big Dan size. And now I realize I see why they picked this dude, and I'm super stoked for it. Because the Combate guy, he's good, but when you get jiu-jitsu guys together, there's always like a clear winner. No 16th seed jiu-jitsu heavyweight is gonna put much of a threat up against Nicky Rod. But this guy changes everything. So I'm down for it, dude. I'm going with Nicky Rod just because I'm fucking B teams down the road. I train there all the time, and I don't want.
Yeah, you got to watch what you say.
So I'm Nicky Rod. Nicky Rod wins this one.
I mean, I think you gotta go chalk, but I just have to throw this caveat out there for the future for if and when this matchup happens. I think Kirk Vet's a real problem.
Yep.
I think he absolutely could win that matchup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then especially if he gets just based on our seeding, right? Like imagine he gets a matchup against, like Victor Hugo or somebody who's a little more passive. Well, not Victor Hugo, but maybe a different seed. But yeah, if someone tends to be more passive against this guy and tries to outweight him, that might not work. I've noticed that in my own matches that if you try to wait sometimes on these wrestlers, that they don't even give you the shot.
Nope. Can't do it. Mighty Mouse versus Bradley Martin.
Dude, that would be so fun. Did you hear about him and not Jake, but Logan Paul scrapping behind their gym?
Yeah, I did. I heard he got just absolutely mauled.
Yeah, yeah. Did he? He got Brendan Schaub to go over there and give him some tips, and he
not not super helpful.
right.
Of all the people to go to for advice.
Yeah. Well, even Brendan Schaub said on his podcast, he was saying that Bradley Martin had all these ideas of how it was going to play out. He's like, okay, so he's going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do that, and he's going to do this. And Brendan was like, no, dude, this is going to be over in like 20 seconds. He's like, whatever you think is going to happen is not happening. And from what I heard, it did sound like he tried to give him some good advice, but there's no helping. You can't help somebody who don't train against somebody
Who
who's
doesn't know how to. You don't know how to grapple. What are you talking about?
and Logan's a big dude, so it's like I could kind of see how maybe he gets over on someone smaller. I mean, I've taken that position from the beginning, though, that the Mighty Mouse, he tried trolling. Who's the little guy that fought for the title and lost to Sugar Sean? Cheeto Vera. He tried to tell him Cheeto Vera he'd take him, but not those guys are so fast, dude. There's no, I don't care how big you are, how strong you are.
I loved Nate Diaz's responses to him.
Yeah,
when he was like, "You won't." The most gangster answer.
Yeah, Cheeto Vera, he'd eat him.
So we'll take. I mean, what do you think about this one? Tack it over Bame. You feel comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Same. And then in the Fowler Rockhold, I definitely, while I am pretty high on Rockhold, I don't think he can beat Fowler. Mm-hmm. And then Bradley versus Victor Hugo, definitely I got to go Victor Hugo, right? Yep. So that gives us our final four. So now you got Nicky Rod, Tackett. What do you think?
I would like to see Tackett's strategy. I think he could come up with a strategy that would be difficult, but based on just size, aggression, I would probably still take Nicky Rod on this one.
Yeah. I like this matchup for Nicky Rod better than the Kirk Vet matchup.
Yeah, totally.
So let's go Nicky here. Fowler, Hugo.
Yeah, I would have to go Hugo.
I got to go Hugo. Yeah. So that gives us our top two seeds. We got a chalk final. Nicky Rod versus Hugo. There's a matchup we've already seen at FPI, right?
Right. Completely
Hugo got the win.
And I think Nicky Rod could take it.
So you think Nicky Rod? I think Victor Hugo, my man.
Nice.
We're split on this.
Gotcha.
Okay, let's leave it to the chat then. Chat, cast your vote. Nicky Rod, if it plays out like this and we get Nicky Rod, Victor Hugo in the final, who you taking? I'm taking Hugo. He's taking Nicky Rod. Let's hear what you think. Grappler Die says Hugo.
Jinx it. Fowler.
William Vacarano. Hugo. Grappling Conjecture taking Hugo. Jinx taking Nicky Rod. Hugo lies on bottom too much. Jesse Dalton says Fowler beats both of them, but Hugo, I guess. But Fowler already lost to Nicky Rod recently, and in a pretty convincing fashion. So I feel like you're off on that one, Jesse. Much respect, much love to you, but I don't think so. Greg McLarnon, Hugo might stall, possibly Nicky Rod by points. No points. 10-point must system. You know what I do like about Nicky Rod for this, though? I think he's going to be very well conditioned. And that's a 25-minute matchup between these two guys.
I think he's going to have superior strategy, too.
I like it.
I think that this Dima Mironov character He's really on to something. And I really, I do, I do like the idea that athletes need to be aware of their own training and try to direct it as much as possible. But when you're at the highest levels, you need
an outside eye. Gotta
yeah,
have it.
because you're blind to your own mistakes because they work for you. And especially at a heavyweight, like the smaller guys have a better chance to self-correct themselves because they're constantly being put against pressure against bigger guys. But the bigger guys tend not to get that look because we're so much heavier. We can really develop bad habits because we're the biggest or the most powerful in the training room.
Here's a good question. Are the finals matches longer? Yeah, the finals matches are 5-minute rounds.
Which is dope. I think that also kind of will add the prestige to the winning of the match, Which I guess ADCC finals is also, it's longer,
Same,
right?
yeah,
20
same.
minutes.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty much standard across the board in any finals is like just slightly longer. And this is substantially longer though. 15-minute max on the on every match except the final. Potentially 25 plus overtime in the finals though. Alex says Hugo just beat Nicky Rod at WNO. Was it WNO or was it FPI? Anyway, he did just beat him. Hoping Nicky Rod evens the score in this rule set. The Rod father gets my vote. Conrad says, how does Nicky Rod do after going 15 minutes with Greg Kirkvliet? You know what? That's a great question. But if this bracket played out that way, that Kirkvliet match would be the day before. If the seeding played out like this. Grappling Conjecture says it was WNO. Okay. Man, I go to so many of these shows and I get them mixed up when the matches happen.
Yeah.
Man, sometimes it's hard for me to even remember guys having a match.
Yeah. Well, and it's so funny because, people, obviously we're like resident experts in the field because of how many events we go to. But because we see so many events, I switch things all the time. I'm like, wait.
Yeah.
Ooh, wait, what? And it's like, no, I did see it and I do know what I'm talking about. But also, I've seen this dude compete.
Also, I'm an idiot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you know what? It started out looking like the chat was favoring Hugo, but I think it kind of swayed there at the end towards Nicky Rod. So we're going to put Nicky Rod. So that's the way that our bracket plays out. That's the way our seeding and our bracket plays out today. I think we do this again in a week and we may end up with different outcome.
Yeah. I do like these rules, dude. Obviously with anything new, it's a recipe for a disaster. But I honestly, after breaking down the last ADCC, it's just, and then seeing like some of before the CJI thing came out, it was like you could just kind of tell that there was only a couple matchups that were going to be exciting. That like a lot of these the brackets kind of end up being the same. But this, man, there's like so much like what do you call it? X factor, so much unknowns that literally anything can happen. We could see Rockhold go deep. We could see Kirk Fleet go deep. We could see Tackett go deeper. Like
I think we could see Kyle Bame do some serious damage in this bracket too.
Yeah, I think someone mentioned it earlier that they didn't think Tackett could beat Bame. Which I mean, hey,
I think Bame's primary path to victory has got to be in the leg locks. Tackett, just almost impossible to leg lock. Now, obviously not totally impossible. We have seen him get leg locked before. But I think he kind of got snuck up on too. You know what I mean? Like that was it. The last ADCC, he lost to Shashinsky, right? I think he kind of got snuck up on. That was when Shashinsky was still a little bit of an unknown. So I think the chat has spoken. The chat likes Nicky Rod for this bracket. Now here's the thing. This bracket way easier than the one that we're about to do.
Right.
All right. You ready for this one? Here we go. the minus 80. So we got to seed this thing out first. So chat, let me know who's your number one seed. I have a clear number one seed for myself. Want to hear your thoughts, Scott?
For the
number one seed for the minus 80.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Tide.
Yeah,
Tide.
same. Okay. Same Z's. Easy to me, that's actually a pretty easy call.
Yeah.
But now, does Cade take your number two seed? Is the question.
Yeah, definitely. I had some of my buddies take Cade over Ty, but I've just seen that again. The size matters, and Ty is slightly bigger than Cade, and so
and has submitted him in competition.
Yeah.
So, but you think number two is Cade?
Yeah.
Now, Jinx says he likes Jimenez as his number two seed. Jimenez does have wins over these boys, right?
Yeah. Jimenez is a savage. I literally just went to one of his seminars. Man, I don't have him that high on my list. Like top 8 definitely, but
whoa, really?
Yeah, man, I feel like
he's going to be big for the minus 80.
That's true, and that could be the difference maker.
A couple of these guys really big for this bracket.
Mm-hmm. And I think some people are sleeping on some of the bigger guys. But yeah, who do you have at 3?
Well, I'm still stuck on 2, to be honest with you.
Oh, who do you have? You don't have Cade at 2. Okay.
I mean, I think I do, but I feel like Jimenez is not a bad pick for that 2 seed.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I didn't have him in my 3 either.
I like Jimenez. I am going to put Cade as my 2 seed, but I'm going to asterisk him. You know what I'm saying? So I am going to put Cade right there. And then for me, Jimenez is my number 3 seed. I mean, like, look at the fight he put up against Nicky Rod. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So who do you think for your 3?
My 3rd seed might be controversial, but I like Andrew Tackett. I think the kid.
No, I don't think that's controversial. He's going to be my 4.
Gotcha. Yes, I think Andrew.
Jesse Dalton trying to call for Jet Thompson. He's like, he had Jet Thompson as his 5 seed. Like, yo, he's not even in the roster, dog. Yeah, I'm with Daniel here. Cade style, perfect with this rule set because of his aggression. Stunt Bike Chase says Chin for the 3 seed. Listen, I know he's hot, and I know it's popular to pick Chin right now, but
I just don't.
I don't see it.
I don't see it either.
I think that we like Chin, and I think that's shading everybody a little bit. Although I do have to say he did put up a much better fight against Ty. That was way closer than I thought it was going to be. I kind of thought Ty was going to have a pretty emphatic win. So here's a great question from Jackson Spry. Can Jimenez protect his legs through the whole bracket?
Yeah.
I think that's a fair question.
Yep. Yeah, I kind of had Roberto Jimenez lower on mine just because he was coming off being a lot bigger and going against the heavier weights. And I feel like some of these smaller guys are really dialed into this weight, but we'll see.
So let's do this. Let's go Tackett number 3. Okay. So Andrew Tackett number 3. I'm comfortable with that. Mm-hmm. And then let's go Jimenez number 4. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I'm down with that.
Okay. Little compromise there. That's the way things get done. Compromise is important. Okay. So Tackett 3, Jimenez. I think I misspelled Jimenez, and I apologize about that. But let me correct that. All right. Who do you like for number 5? When you look down this list here, this is where I start thinking about Chin right here. Maybe number 5. Or do you feel like you said maybe some of these big guys would
I think
for you, like Denise, Owen, Barbosa, all really big for this bracket.
Yeah, I think people have been sleeping on Denise and Barbosa. I think they're pretty much 5 and 6. I would go Denise because he's a former ADCC champion, and uh, there was controversy in the way that Giancarlo Bodoni got him in the submitted him at the last
Yeah.
ADCC. So I think, I think Denise is still, one of the top guys. So I'd say he's number 5.
You like him for 5?
Yeah, and then I would go Barbosa for 6.
So let's go to the chat here. The chat's got some controversial takes over here. Jinx says, in a match, Tackett versus Jimenez, how would Tackett ever win?
Yeah,
I feel like that's a crazy take. I feel like, how does Jimenez win that? Like, Tackett is just, he's a bruiser right now, man. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I did see that comment, and that is I get where he's coming from, because Jimenez does have he's been in the game a lot longer and been competing.
Has he been in the game a lot longer?
I mean, maybe not competing, but I feel like wasn't he at the last ADCC too, though? So he's been like at the top tier of competing for maybe a little longer. But I think that I'm with you. I think Andrew Tackett has a newfound fire underneath him, and
I think Tackett's one of the hottest grapplers in the world right now, especially at this weight class.
I agree. Yeah, that's why he's my 3. So, I mean, like I said, I was just at a seminar with Roberto Jimenez, and I wouldn't tell him I'd pick him over. I wouldn't pick Andrew Tackett over him in front of his face. But
dude, it's so hard. It's so hard to sit in the seats that we sit in. In a lot of ways, it's like the easiest possible seat, because I'm not gonna fight thee. I'm never gonna fight thee. You might actually have to step out there and fight them sometime. I'm never gonna have to compete against these guys, and I get to sit out here and be critical. But also, like, making the seating for this bracket is basically impossible. It's probably the greatest bracket ever put together. How do you do it at all?
Yeah. Some people are in the comments. We got like Jackson Spry says Barbosa and Denise outside the top 4. He has Barbosa at number 2.
He's got Barbosa at number 2.
Yeah, that's a little nuts.
Jackson, that is a step out.
I get it, because Barbosa's so big and aggressive, but these smaller guys, man, it's a different game. And then someone was upset that Varela's not in the top, but Varela's good, but I just don't feel like he's getting the big wins against the biggest guys just yet.
Well, and he just lost to Chen.
Yeah.
He just lost to Chen at main character.
I'll tell you what, and Chen could be my maybe like number 7, because I really did like the way he came up with a good game plan against Ty. And I think that if anyone can lose against Ty and then come up with a game plan to beat him, it would be Chen. So,
all right, so let's do this. You want Denise at number 5. So I'm going to give you Denise at number 5.
Nice.
But you got to give me Chen at number 6 then.
That sounds good to me.
See, that's fair.
Yeah.
All right, so now looking down this list, who's your number 7 right here? You mentioned Barbosa. Yeah, I like Owen O'Flanagan. If I'm going to take another one of these big guys, I like O'Flanagan over Barbosa. I would seat him higher than Barbosa. And I've also got to start thinking about Canuto, Nicky Ryan, and Andy Varela right here.
So you don't think...
And, dude, Langecker, I mean, I just don't know about Langecker's style.
Yeah.
Same
thing with Levi Jones Leary. I was kind of might be a dark horse, but with the rules,
not with this rule set though.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, with the rule set, I might have to put him lower.
Jesse says we're putting too much stock into old wins and losses, but that Varela versus Chen literally just happened like 2 weeks ago, like 3 weeks ago. So that's not very old. Like that's a fresh match. It just happened.
Yeah. I love Varela. He's like one of the homies for sure.
Yeah, like Varela's like my friend. So it's not, I'm not like, it's not a statement about the guy, you know, but I'm trying to look at it as objectively as possible. Okay, so this number 6 is Chin at 7. Here, I'll narrow it down for you. Barbosa, O'Flanagan, Canuto, Varela, Ryan.
7 seed. Yeah, I'm either gonna go with Barbosa or Canuto. I'm kind of tied between the two. They both, man. You know what? I'm gonna have to go Canuto just because he came off the doing well off PGF, so he's a little more active in this division. I mean, obviously Andy Varela won that bracket, but I feel like that flying armbar that Renato Canuto has, I feel like he could catch some of these guys with that.
Yeah, and Canuto, you got to remember that PGF situation too. Like that was the first time that we had seen him in a couple of years, and now he went down to AIGA. He got down at AIGA, a couple of big submission wins and victories at FPI recently. So I feel like Canuto's hot right now, and I feel like he's in a good groove. So I don't hate that at number 7. So then who are we going to put then at number 8? Because now if you're going to put Canuto at 7, you got to think Varela could be number 8 because they're almost like carbon copies of one another.
Right, right. Yeah, him or Barbosa is next.
Let's go Barbosa at 8. And let's go Varela. Well, you take Varela over Nicky Ryan, though?
Yeah.
Because you got Nicky Ryan sitting right here.
That's a solid point, dude. That's a solid point. I mean, I guess we have to go Nicky Ryan, right? Yeah, I'll go Nicky Ryan just because of Dima. They're that new team that they got going on. Yeah, I'll go Nicky Ryan.
And see, I'll take Varela. I'll seed Varela over Nicky Ryan based a lot on the rule set.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
And I think this is a good point. Like Jesse talking about the pace in this rule set, like that should send Varela up the charts. And I sort of agree with that.
Agreed. I can see that for sure.
So I'm going to put Varela right here at 9. And I'm going to put Nicky Ryan at 10. Or, well, do you like Nicky or you like O'Flanagan?
As the next one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Nicky.
O'Flanagan big.
Yeah, he is, right? His last win was over someone big too. I can't remember who it was, but he had a big win over there at Polaris.
All right, call it Nicky O'Flanagan.
I'm gonna go Nicky.
Nicky at the 10 seat. Okay. Yeah. Oh, that makes Nicky Ryan versus Canuto a matchup. That's a man. What a freaking bracket! So now we're gonna go Owen at 11. Ooh, look at this matchups that this makes, man. This is crazy.
A lot of people in the chat are talking about it depends what version of Nicky Ryan shows up, and that's what we were saying earlier.
Yeah.
Depends how he shows up to the big show.
Jesse's saying Canuto wasn't himself at PGF. If he doesn't have a huge change, he's out first round.
Yeah, I could see that. But I guess you could say that about pretty much anybody mostly.
Yeah, you almost can't really count PGF results because it's just such a different format.
Right. You got. I mean, I don't
want to say you can't count them, but like it's a totally different situation. San Diego Live says Nicky Ryan should be 7 and Canuto should be 10.
I could see that.
I could see it. I mean, like this bracket and this roster and bracket in particular, it's almost like interchangeable. Each position is interchangeable. This one's impossible. All right, so now we're looking at the 12 seed. Here's your 5 that you got left: Langaker, Nolf, Levi Jones-Leary, Kenta, and Majid Hayes. Who's your next guy in at number 12?
based on the rule set, I'm gonna have to go Nolf.
I like it. That's exactly what I was thinking. Ooh, and I think he could beat Denise. That's that 5-12 matchup. If you do a lot of NCAA, if you do an NCAA basketball bracket every year, you know that 12-5 or 12 wins half the time. I'm gonna go Langacker now at 13. People probably be like, "This is crazy. You got Nolf ahead of Langacker." I like the rules for Nolf.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm gonna go Majid Hage as my next guy.
Yep.
That puts him at what, 14? All right. And then who's your 15, 16? I'll let you pick the last two.
Yeah, I think Kenta would be next just because his wrestling has gotten a lot better. I've actually seen his wrestling improve significantly. And Levi Jones Leary still plays a lot of bottom berimbolo stuff. So
Pretty much exclusively.
Right. And I think that he could come out and surprise. Well, I mean, I guess not against Ty Rotello, but I think he could figure something out and surprise us all. But like,
I don't think in this matchup right here.
Oh yeah, no, you don't stand a chance really.
Okay, let's play it out. So the first seed, I gotta say Ty wins that one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your 2 seed, Cade over Kenta, right?
Mm-hmm.
3 seed, Tackett, Majid Hage. I gotta go Tackett here. Jimenez versus Langacker. I'm definitely taking Jimenez.
Hundo.
In that one. Denise versus Nolf. Do you feel like this is a possibility for an upset?
Regarding the rules, yes, I think, yeah, because
because Denise is going to have to submit him,
right? Yeah, which he could definitely do.
He could, but that's not, when you think about Denise, you don't think about submission artist.
True, but against the wrestler, I think he could get it done. I heard someone told me this. I don't know how true it is, but I heard Denise went to a B team and mopped the floor with a lot of the guys. So that could be just a rumor someone made up, but I heard Denise is on fire for Nogi. So I'm still gonna take him, but it would be really fun to see what Nolf can do.
Yeah, I think the wrestling advantage that we were giving to Kirk Vet in the plus 80, it's not as strong of an advantage in the minus 80 because a lot of these minus 80s can wrestle pretty well. They're going to have a lot more speed, a lot more endurance. So a lot of the advantages that the high level wrestling brings to the table in the plus 80, they're not as strong of an advantage in the minus 80. Grappling Conjecture says we did Kenta dirty.
I
would. Where would you seed him?
Yeah, no matter who we seed, someone's getting done dirty. But Kenta has to be the lowest seed, right? Like,
where would you seed him?
The last one invited, right? He wasn't the last one even invited.
He says Nolf might win that. Listen, I'm with you. I do think that. I think I like this rule set for the wrestlers, but I don't like it as much in the minus 80. Grappling Conjecture, you got to stand by your words now. Where do you seed Kenta in this bracket? We're gonna wait. We're gonna wait till he says something. I'm gonna sit right here.
Even talking this whole time, we want to hear it. Kenta, what's his number? I'm friends with Kenta too. He's really nice. So every time I see him at B team, he always says hi.
He seems like a sweetheart.
He is.
But I'm not. I'm not seeding them based on how cool I think they are.
Yeah. All right.
Hey, Grappling Conjecture, he's kind of quiet over there. Gotta wonder what's going on. right.
Yeah, see, Jackson's probably put Barbosa at 6, and that's what I was thinking. That's where I had him.
Jesse says he likes that win for Denise. He's just got too much experience. And I feel that. I feel like there's some value in what you're saying there. All right. So let's move on down to 7. Canuto versus Nikki Ryan. I like Canuto.
Do you? Do you?
I do.
Yeah. See, I was gonna take. I think if Nikki Ryan shows up hot, it could be a fun. Yeah, I could go either way. So let's put Canuto there. But I think personally, I'd probably pick Nikki Ryan.
I'm putting Canuto. I like Canuto in this rule set. I like his pace. I like his stand up. I like his aggression. I think he's going to push the whole time. But man, it's a bummer because I always want to pick Nikki. You know what I mean? Like I always want to pick Nikki Ryan against whoever he's against. Like I'm always like pulling for this dude.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think his jiu-jitsu is just top shelf, but I always wonder about his conditioning and his strategy, his game plan.
Yeah, he's been. I don't know if you pay attention to the B team, but he's been puking a lot from the training.
Yeah, I'll watch most of those.
Yeah, so I mean,
Okay, here comes grappling conjecture. He says he puts Kenta at 11. Now let's look at this. If he puts Kenta at 11, that means he's putting him ahead of Nolf, fair. Levi Jones Leary, fair. Majid, I don't know if he can put him ahead of Majid.
I mean, oh yeah, because it's hard to like base the trials, right? Because there definitely is a difficulty.
For sure, the Asia Oceania trials versus the Brazil trials.
And doesn't Majid do both Brazil and American trials, right? Yeah, he does both. So, and he hasn't won those, but I'm pretty sure he's medaled the Brazil ones multiple times. I think he got second place multiple Brazil trials. Yeah. So I mean that's fair. I can see
DJ
how.
says Canuto over Ryan. South Dakota Chris says that Nikki been getting after it on these videos. That's what you were saying.
Yeah.
And Jesse says Nikki, difficult style for Canuto to get a sub. You don't have to get a sub.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. Like if it's down to who's going to get the sub, I'd probably put Nikki over time.
Right, but over the 3.
Not what this rule set is.
I see why you pick Canuto then, because yes, if there isn't a sub, then I think Canuto is going to be more aggressive over the 3-5s. So yeah,
that's
yeah,
right. I think he's going to look better with the again, the rule set we just went over it. Initiating action is the number one criteria, and nobody initiates. I mean, Canuto's action dog. He is action. He looks busy the whole time. Even when he's not getting that much done, he just looks better.
Yeah, yeah. I could agree with the last thing conjecture just said.
I hear that. Yeah, I don't hate that.
So what's the next one? What's the next one you had? We got Barbosa? No, Barbosa and Varela, right?
Oh, where'd my list go? Oh dang, did I lose my list? Oh no, we're never mind. Going out the bracket now. I was like, what am I going to do? All right, so that makes Barbosa Varela. I'm taking Varela right there. What do you think? You like Barbosa? You got quiet on me.
Ooh, no, I was reading one of the comments, but Varela over Barbosa, I'm down with that. I think
Okay.
I think I could go either way though. I mean, Barbosa's so big, dude, to count him out, but I could see that Varela's definitely been way more active and going to be dialed in. So
Yeah,
but that could go. No one could argue that could go either way.
yeah, I agree with that. And then Chin O'Flanagan, I'm going to take Chin right there. Thoughts?
Chen over. It's blocking my little thing. Who's the last?
O'Flanagan. Owen O'Flanagan.
Yeah, no, I'm with that too. Owen's my boy too. Damn it, my friends are fighting each other, and I gotta pick one. Crazy, but I think Chen being down here with B team, I think he's gonna be able to figure out strategy for sure.
All right, Ty versus Varela in the quarters. Got Ty?
I gotta go with Ty, dude.
Yeah, Ty's.
Can I ask one of the guys real quick a question? One of the guys in the chat.
Yeah.
San Diego Life. He says, "Can you guys run this through Chat GPT and add the rule set conditions?" Yeah, so I would essentially type this out. I could copy and paste these numbers, put that in the Chat GPT, give them the rules, and then ask it to run it.
Yeah, but it's not going to know enough about these athletes.
Right. Because it's hard enough for us to find the.
Yeah.
I don't know if it comes up with anything good, but maybe I will do that later and see if it if it says anything funny. But yeah, so Jimenez and Denise. I think this is gonna be a fun matchup. This is gonna be a sick matchup.
I think it's a great matchup. I like Jimenez for it for sure.
Yeah, I can see that for sure.
Egghead said Varela manifested himself into the PGF 6 champion. Can't pick against him. Listen, I hear that, but it's totally different format. Totally different format.
Yeah. And you're talking about Ty. He's probably the number one, best guy in the world right now in this weight class.
San Diego Life says he already did it. He already put it in Chat GPT, but there's no way because you didn't know the rules. First guy with the rules. So yeah, let's go Jimenez right here.
Yeah.
All right. I got to go Cade over Canuto.
Yeah.
Canuto is my boy. I will have to. Canuto and Varela, those are my dudes. I love those guys, but got to call it like I see it. And then I got to take, Tackett over Chen. Yep. To be honest with you. So now we go Ty versus Jimenez. Killer matchup. What do you think?
Man, I hate pick against Jimenez. Didn't you say that he's got a win over them already?
Yeah, you know what? I bet Grappling Conjecture knows. I bet he knows. But I'm feeling like Jimenez has wins. I feel like he has wins over both of these boys in the past.
By the way, it's going to be a good matchup. I still probably got to go with Ty just because I've never really even seen people put Ty in crazy pressure recently, and I watched him go toe-to-toe with so many guys. I want to say Ty, but I would not have someone said Jimenez.
Same. And then you know what? I think this is the matchup of the whole weekend right here. If we see this, Cade Rotolo versus Andrew Tackett, I think that's the best possible match from both brackets for the weekend, and it's the best possible match from ADCC, like the whole grappling weekend. I think that's going to be the most fire matchup.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm taking Tackett, dude.
Hey.
I'm taking Tackett just to split up the brothers.
Yeah.
Just because I don't want to put them both in the final.
Yeah, that would be badass if they both made it to the finals. That'd be so nuts.
And then I'm putting Ty as your winner after that. So that's the way I see it playing out if the seeding goes the way we said.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. See, I knew Grappling Conjecture would have this. He's an educated man. Jimenez beat both Ty and Cade, but Cade subbed him at ADCC. Boom. There you go. All right, what do you think, guys? How do y'all like the brackets that we played out? So this is the way we played it out for the -80. We got Ty and Tackett in the final. Ty, Jimenez, Cade, Tackett in the semis. And in the +80, we put Nicky Rod, William Tackett, Fowler, and Hugo in the semis with Nicky and Hugo in the finals and Nicky Rod as your winner. I feel like the +80, I feel way more confident about the seeding and the bracket in the +80 than the -80. The -80 just feels like a total crapshoot to me for the most part.
Yeah. And is it confirmed that they're going to be seeded? I think I heard you say
no, it's not confirmed. That's not confirmed.
So
this is just us playing around and creating our own seeds and throwing it. It could be totally random, but to me that'd be crazy. You got to make seeds.
I mean, with Craig, who knows? He could do whatever he wants, But yeah, I would say that seeds makes the most sense.
South Dakota Chris says, no way he's going against the Totolo brothers. and he also says he never watches stuff like this, but this has been dope. Good job, Scott. High five.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you, Egg. Very real possibility that it's both the Rotolos in the finals. Like, I would even say that it's a probability that we're going to get both of those guys in the finals.
I would love to see it. Obviously, it'd be cool to see them versus anybody, but if it was a Rotolo brother showdown, that would be sick.
I know the brothers fighting it out for a meal.
And dude, those are like the two brothers that we would know that they didn't make a plan on anything.
Oh, for sure.
They're gonna scrap to the death, and that's dope.
Well, there you have it, guys. All right, listen, we went 2 hours and 10 minutes right there. I don't know how much more I can do. I feel spent. I got to go get some Chick-fil-A and a Coke Zero right now. All right, it's sign off time. Tell us where to follow you, all your Instagrams, all your YouTubes.
Yeah, Scotty P breakdown on YouTube. I drop nonstop memes, bunch of breakdowns, vlogs, podcasts. I try to do it all. But yeah, Instagram, scottyp.breakdown. If you like Jiu-Jitsu TV, if you like me just shooting the shit about Jiu-Jitsu, martial arts, fitness, that random stuff, I'd love to have you on.
And guys, if you enjoy this kind of content, listen, I need you to become a member of this channel. You can sign up because, listen, I've been going live pretty much every day. And then after it's live, I throw it back behind the paywall. So only the members get to go in and have a look at it. I'm going to leave this one live just because it's, I think it's relevant. It's kind of breaking news since we got the rules set. And then it's interesting since we went down the seating and kind of created our brackets and played them out. So I'll leave this one public, but most of these lives, they go behind the paywall. Join the channel, support the channel. Means a lot to me. It helps me to just get to do this kind of stuff nonstop instead of having to go get a real job. You don't want me to have a real job. I'm not good at having a real job. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to get fired. Nobody wants that. Let your boy eat. All right. Instagram, brandonmc.ninja. Always catch me on UFC Fight Pass. Don't forget about the PGF. I will say this, PGF qualifiers, 205 pounds. PGF Season 7 coming up November 3rd through the 9th. Going to be in Las Vegas. We're doing $100,000 team prize again. We're doing 20,000 more to the bracket winner again. We're also going to have a ladies bracket that plays out this year. The PGF's going to be sick. Got 3 qualifiers coming up, going smooth comp. The qualifiers are free to enter, no charge to enter. Anybody can come and sign up. The winner of each one is going to get an automatic roster spot for PGF Season 7. August 24th, we're going to be in Austin, Texas at 10th Planet. September 14th, we're going to be in Nashville, Tennessee at One Nation. And September the 28th, the final PGF qualifier is going to be at 10th Planet, Las Vegas. PGF on fire. We're looking to drop 4 of these next year. So, you know, we don't have $1 million grand prize, but we got 100,000 4 times a year. We're going to be doing some damage. So yeah, that's right. Egghead said BMAC not allowed to have a real job. Totally agree with that, Egghead. You're going to have to hold down the real job for us. Scott, dude, thanks for hanging out. I know like we stayed on for like over 2 hours. So I know you got other stuff to do, but I appreciate you coming and spending time with me. You're a wise man. You know your game. So appreciate you spending the time with me, man.
Thank you for having me on, bro.
All right, dude. All right, guys. Thank you very much.